One thing, it is one of my biggest pet peeves, and if you do this, I'm sorry. People that do this. He's healing. No, he's not. He's choking. This is healing. Heal. Okay, there you go. Him holding himself in position, whether I go forward, sideways, whether I turn, no matter where I go, that's heel position. When he's holding himself in position. Thank you, son. And he's not at his best right now because he's been quite ill, as I said. You have to understand that, yes, there's going to be some things you've been taught that I disagree with. I'm not telling you my way is the only way. I'm telling you my way is what I believe and that I've had success with. Here are my basic rules. If you email me, I will send you this paperwork plus lots more. We'll give you my email address before I leave. This is just basically all the basic keys that, if you could live by these rules, you would probably never have any severe behavior problems. First one, no means no. I'm having a hard time with this one right now because my back is so sore that I find that I am way more grouchy than normal. I'm less likely to do what I know I should do as a trainer because it hurts. But I know in my mind that the correct thing to do is when I say something, I have to follow through. No sense any other way. We have to talk about the inefficiency of yelling and nagging. Because here's what everybody does. Spot, no, Spot. Oh, that, no, I didn't mean, I forgot you had a dog named Spot. I'm not referring to her.
Oh, yes, you are.
Spot, no, 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 no! And that's when they go to stop the behavior. So let's really think about what we've taught in that situation. Our job as a trainer is to define vocabulary to an animal that doesn't know English. So you have to put yourself in a position and ask, if somebody did that with a foreign language repetitively, how would it appear to you? No means stop what you're doing right now and don't ever do it again. If I asked 6 times, did it mean stop right now? No, it did not. If I'm yelling, you taught your dog not what no meant, but what yelling meant. The dog goes, oh, when they yell, we must need to stop. They're talking to us. You want to have a dog that you can live with and communicate with in a normal tone of voice. I don't want to have company and go, hey, come on in. Dog, move! No, no, no! I don't want to do that. But if you train that way, that's what you're going to have. So you've got to be able to follow through. You don't have to beg with no. No. We'll try to find something. I'll try to give you an example of how I would like to use no. No.
He's drooling. Things will be all over that.
You shouldn't need to use it any louder than that in a normal day-to-day tone. No means don't do that. You shouldn't have to yell, and I'm having a hard time training my husband with that right now. Because, and this is not for you, it can be men or women, but in my house it happens to be men. People think that to get respect you have to get loud. Well, some of the most dominant, respectable people I know, what do we say? My dad, all he had to do was cut his eyes or give me the look. All you have to do is follow through. If you want respect, you ask for follow through. If you want to have respect from your animal, your spouse, it doesn't matter. I'm not giving human behavior though. That's not my spot. But really, one of the quickest ways to lose respect with anything is to say things you don't mean or you can't back up. To make either promises you can't keep, to ask for something and then beg and ask over and over and over. You have to say what you mean. And if you're not consistent, people go, well, he's not consistent. And I go, well, neither are you. You can't ask him to be more consistent as an animal than you are as a trainer. If you're going to allow things to slip, then you're going to have an inconsistent pet. All right? That's just how it is. You will get out what you put in. So, no yelling, no asking 15 times. You're actively working against yourself when you do that. You're defining the word incorrectly if you say no 15 times before you follow through. All right? So, no, back it up. We'll talk about how you back it up in a minute. The main key right now is that you realize that if you're going to commit to saying something or giving a cue, you've got to back it up. And the same thing goes for the next one, give only one command. Not just no, every command. If you ask for sit 6 times before you make him, he's going to wait 6 times. All right? We're teaching obedience, not counting. We don't want the dog sitting there watching our language going, 1, 2, she's getting red-faced, 3, 4, she's stepping toward me. A lot of people think they're being nice to their dog by not following through right away. Because we feel bad. We don't want to correct them. We don't want to do anything. But when you do that, you're actually making it more stressful because you're not defining it clearly. Think of how hard it would be if people were teaching you another language and they just kept on and on saying a word and you're like, I don't know. You'd want somebody that says, no, stop. Water. You know what I mean? You'd want somebody to help you define it in a clear way. But if somebody just keeps kind of corralling you back into the zone and saying the word, it could be her, it could be her, it could be the hat, it could be the table, it could be the more clear you can be, the kinder you're being to your animal. You're not helping them by nagging. Have you found nagging to be effective with people? No. Nagging isn't effective with people, it's not effective with animals. And nagging is the quickest way to lose respect. Think about it, how much respect do you have for the people that nag you? You go, I'll get to it when I feel like it, because I know all you do is just keep asking me, and when I finally get tired of you asking me because it's annoyance, I'll do it then. But you don't really do it out of respect, you do it more because you're tired of just being irritated. So, people talk about how they want to be in control and in charge of their dog, and how it starts with me saying what I mean. If you don't say what you mean and back things up, your dog will continue to walk all over you. Okay, that's the basics for what we're talking about. We're going to go in more detail, but if we can't get past those things, even if you accomplish everything else, if you don't get those 2 things, we won't go too much farther. You'll just be stuck. Because your dog won't think everything will be optional for him. Okay? Never, this is the hardest one for me right now with my back. Never give a command you're not willing or able to enforce. There's 2 sides of that. Willing. There are times in your life you are not going to want to be a dog trainer. For all of us. You don't want to be in dog training mode 24/7. So a couple things. You need a place where your dog can be where he will not be bad. That could be a crate, that could be the yard, that could be the house, that could be the kitchen. I don't care where it is. But you need one spot where when you don't feel like handling something correctly, you can put him and he's not going to eat your walls. He's not going to pee in your floor. You need a safe place. You know, and for puppies, that's usually a crate. And people go, well, I have a 9-year-old dog that's not used to being crated, but he's fine in the kitchen. That's fine, as long as he's not dragging food off the tables and stuff like that there. You need a place where he will not create a bad habit. Some safe place. I have 4 male dominant dogs that live in 37 feet, because we travel by RV. So, we have one crate, but we have it if we need. We have one safe place where we can put somebody if we need to. Why? Because you can't be in training mode all the time. Let me give you an example of willing. Knock, 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 postman. Hey, Michelle, I need you to sign for a package. How often do I see people trying to do it like this? They got their leg prying the dog back, they're holding back with a hand, trying to sign for the package. The dog is jumping and barking and out of control, and we do it over and over and over. If it doesn't get better, you're not training correctly. If the same behavior keeps happening over and over, it's not right. So what do? I go, hold on a minute, if I'm not in the mode to train. He doesn't have time to wait for you. He's got 600 other houses to get to today. Hold on a minute, put him up, go deal with this, and then you go, I've got a serious front door issue that I need to address. So you call your friend and say, hey, would you do me a favor? Or your kids or your spouse, doesn't matter. Will you come over and just knock on the door and I'll tell you when to come in. And then you handle it when you're free. Don't try to wait for it to happen. Don't try to deal with your jumping problem when you're walking in with eggs. Because that's asking for trouble. You're going to get angry and it's going to get ugly. And you're going to set yourself up for failure versus success. Okay? Your goal for horses and dogs is to try to set the interaction up in a successful way so that they learn the right way versus the wrong way. Do I ever run into a time where I suck and I make a mistake and I don't do it right? Yes! That's what's harder about dogs than horses, because you have to live with them 24 hours a day. The horses, you can go out and train in a set, and then you can end and go, man, I did it great. But the dogs are there 24/7. You gotta be in mode a lot better with the dogs versus the horses. So, do I make mistakes? Yes, accept that you're gonna make some. But the key is to learn from them and try not to do them over and over and over. Know the right way so that you can be successful. So I want you to set it up. And how do we set it up? We'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, all you need to know is that you need to set it up. The other thing is people say they set their dog up by letting puppies loose in the house too quickly for housebreaking. Now, if you're not there, you're not able to correct, because we know that the behavior has to be in process for you to correct it. Okay? How do I know that? Let's take an infant. Okay? Let's take a 7-month-old baby. Would you throw it down on the floor and go take a shower? And hope it didn't get into anything? No. But let's say you did, and you came back down, and the baby is sitting over on the couch, and there's a lamp over here knocked over. At 7 months old, would you pick that baby up and take it over to the lamp and whap it? No. But yet people seem to find that justified in animals. They don't catch them in the process of doing something. They take them back and think somehow they'll make an association. That's why you often hear dogs are like a 2-year-old child, because they say somewhere between 2 and 3, after that point, a child gets the thing where you can take them back and go, did you pull this down? Okay, well this correction will be for this. They say that in child development that happens somewhere between 2 and 3. I don't know kids that well. I've never been around one in that age, so I can't attest to that. That's what I've been told. But a dog is never going to hit that point. Okay? He is going to, all his corrections and reinforcements come within the actual seconds he's doing it. Okay? You can't come after him 10 seconds later and punish him for something. So do not put him in situations you are not able to correct bad behavior. That means don't leave that puppy out to pee in your house while you take a shower. Put him up. That means don't take him to the park off leash when you've not practiced your come command and go, I turned him loose and he wouldn't come to me. When I say, what, did he come to you on leash? No. Does he come to you in a confined space? No. Well, what made you think he was going to come to you at the park? All right? Don't set yourself up for failure. It is very important that you set yourself up with an achievable thing and build on it. And every time we'll ask for a little more, and a little more, and a little more. People say to me, Michelle, my dog is sneaky. By nature, they are opportunists of looking for reinforcement where it will find it. But let's talk about what really happens. My dog is sneaky. When I'm not looking, he goes into the other room and pees. Well, let's actually think about what you taught him. I go outside with Mom and pee. She praises me. She gives me cookies. It's great. I peed in the kitchen with Mommy. She yelled at me. She fussed at me. That was bad. Mommy was in the kitchen. I went in the living room. Nothing happened. Must be safe. They are going to, unless that carpet flames up through their urine and burns them, peeing on that carpet in your absence was safe. They're not doing it to be spiteful, they're just experimenting. That's why you control your environment in a young puppy, so you get predictable behavior. You get predictable behavior and then you expand their environment. If you go too quick, some dogs are easier than others. Some dogs experiment more than others, just like people. Some have different personalities. Some are going to go, oh, well, how about this room when she's not here? How about this room? They're not being bad. They're literally just experimenting to see what is acceptable. Do you think in the wild, wolves go around like this and go, hey, hey, guys, look up. From this tree to the rock over there, down to the pine, and up to this little rock here. Within the square footage, we're not going to pee. No, they do not. So housebreaking is a foreign concept. They don't pee in their den. We're asking them to take a den from a tiny space and include it to, for some people, 3,000 and 4,000 square foot homes. That's a big thing to ask. You have to do it slowly so that it's achievable for them to go, oh, I'm just not supposed to pee anywhere under this roof. Okay. But don't jump the gun and think just because they don't pee in front of you, they've got the entire concept. You have to make sure that the entire idea is in their head. Make sure the first time they go in that other room, you're there monitoring to catch them. So you have to understand, it's not sneaky, it's experimentation. The other one is, my dog was mad at me, so he ate my shoe. If a dog's mad at you, he bit you right then. You poke him in the eye, he's gonna bite you. He's not gonna sit back and go, you wait till you eat. They just don't work like that. That's a people flaw. Let's not impose people flaws on dogs. They just don't do it. You might think so. Most separation anxiety is the cause for dogs eating things when you're gone. Or you gave them too much freedom and they just think it's allowed. They thought, oh, I love chewing on the leather shoes. When mom's here, she guards them. But when she's gone, it's okay to chew on them. The same way as when he is gone, it'll be perfectly okay for Ura to chew on that bone that's left, right? Now, actually, he does not dominate all the toys at home, but let's give an example. Let's say he doesn't allow Ura to touch a bone when he's near it. And if it's between his toes, Ura wouldn't take it. But let's say, it was anywhere near him. But if Blade leaves, is it okay to take that bone now? Sure. It's not morally and ethically wrong, right? He just goes, oh, the opportunity is there. So you have to make sure, again, we teach dogs what items they are and are not supposed to take. I ask people, say, he eats my socks. And I go, well, have you ever worked on teaching him not to pick up socks? Yeah, when I catch him, I yell at him. No, you taught him when he gets a sock to run like heck, or to swallow it, or to ultimately guard it. So you have to think about what you're doing, because dogs don't think like people. So you can't come in and correct after the fact. Once they have an object, any punishment you do is going to long-term be focused on you taking things from them, has nothing to do with them having taken it. The only second to correct is when they reach for it. And think of a porcupine or a skunk. Does a porcupine or a skunk wait until they're shaken and rattled all over before they squirt or smack with quills? No. They punish when? When the animal's thinking about it. That's because animals naturally train much better than people. You see all animals do it. Everything. Horses. The second a horse is thinking about invading its space, you get the ear pin and that little snaky look. They don't wait till the horses run them down, right, and stomped on them. No. They go, you're thinking about being bad. Right there. Don't even do it. We have to think, we have to teach like that. Once the object is in their mouth, you've taught them to run with it, swallow it, or ultimately potentially guard it. Okay? And you don't want those. So a lot of times what people think they're teaching and what they're actually teaching are two different things. So that's where I try to come in and say, okay, we can fix this. I teach my dogs. I do not put shoes up in my house when I don't have a puppy. Right now I have at least 4 pair of shoes in my floor. And they will be intact when I get home. Why? Because I teach my dogs not to touch them. And I practice it and over. I don't just wait for it to happen and then come home and punish them. It's not effective. Okay? So those are some misconceptions we want to get out. I'm going to jump to one. We're talking about nipping aggressive behavior in the bud. Some people say, well, why are you so tough on this? My dog's not aggressive. Most of your dogs will not reach full adult temperament until the age of 4. Okay? So what you have, now the smaller your dog, the earlier they hit maturity. Like your Jack probably hit maturity at 2 or 3. But for my breed, it's 4 to 5 before you see their full adult temperament. That's why I'm so opposed to breeding 2- and 3-year-old dogs in this breed. Because you might have a 2- or 3-year-old Belgian that's great with other dogs, but he may hit 4 or 5 and all of a sudden you see a dog aggressive streak come out. Or you might see a much more dominant personality develop. They're very slow mentally maturing. The most common age for a bite is between the ages of 2 and 4. Do you remember in the 70s, this is a classic example, do you remember in the 70s people said, oh, Dobermans, they're so mean because their brains keeps growing but their skull stops growing at 2, and so the pressure on the brain is what causes them to be so mean. No, but when do they start hitting adolescency, teenage, leading into adulthood? People would let them do rude things, and those rude things would lead them to be in charge, and then at 2, somebody try to take them by the collar and say no, and you go, no, I tell you no, you don't tell me no. So we're going to talk about what those things are, but most people don't know they're unintentionally putting dogs in a dominant position